Welcome to the new podcast, episode number 46. My name is Steven. I am joined as always by producer and co-host extraordinaire, Kelly, my man. Let's get to it. Huge weekend of combat sports. Everything rounding out with the PFL going down this week, UFC going down in Uruguay, and even some bare knuckle fighting championship going down. We had one hell of a barn burner. This organization is really starting to take off as something that people want to watch. And SummerSlam is going down as we speak in Toronto. Man, let's get to some... Without further ado, let's get to some fight news. But first, I just came back from a fucking amazing fishing trip this weekend. One hell of a fishing trip. Amazing time on the lake on my buddy's new boat. Fuck, was it beautiful out there. No one was out there, Kelly, because there was a little bit of rain on and off. But I couldn't believe it. For such a massive lake, no one out there. Couldn't have been more perfect. I may have drank too much, though. That's the only problem. Too much water, am I right? Shit. Let's get to it. Big announcement this week here for fight announcements coming down at the 205 division. Corey Overtime Anderson will be taking on Johnny Walker, the natural born killer at the and new podcast here, going down UFC 244. I really like that matchup. Corey Anderson, a very well-rounded fighter, great grappler. He can't be slept on his stand-up game, and he's got one hell of a no-quit attitude. That's for sure. We've seen him really find that extra gear in his last few fights, but taking on, obviously, his toughest test to date in Johnny Walker. But, Kelly, does that shoulder injury from the celebration... How does that hinder Johnny Walker, or does Johnny Walker come back stronger?
No idea. I guess it depends on how well he rehabbed his arm.
Yeah. Shoulder injuries are never a good one, and who knows how well you come back from it. I know a lot of people, you lose your range of motion with your arm sometimes, and number one thing is you lose your strength.
Yeah.
So exactly that. We'll see how well he got that, number one, repaired, and number two, how smart he was with the rehab. Some people aren't smart with the rehab. Rehab is hard. It is very hard, and especially for a shoulder injury, that's going to be a tough one to come back from. But who knows? Maybe he did it right, and he comes back better and stronger than ever. But only time will tell. Going down UFC 244. That, I believe, is the Madison Square Garden card in New York. So that event is really, really shaping up. Another big fight announcement. Holly Holm's new opponent has been announced, and it will be Raquel Pennington for the rematch. Coming down, obviously, Raquel Pennington, very, very tough woman in the division. Hard for anyone to count her out. And obviously, she lost the first time against Holly Holm. I can see her probably having a similar result going down in Melbourne at the UFC 243 card. That card will be headlined by Adesanya and Whitaker. So they're actually, I don't know if this will be the co-main event, but it should be co-main event. I think it definitely has number one contendership implications, and kind of a logjam of a women's division right now with Amanda Nunes just destroying everybody, obviously beating Holly Holmes, and also, just massacring Raquel Pennington. If I'm Raquel Pennington, I don't want that rematch with Amanda Nunes. That was one hell of a bloody beatdown. That's one of those matches where you really wanted to see the corner throw in the towel, because she just got absolutely beat to a bloody pulp. Any way you slice it, though, somebody's got to move up, and somebody's got to be the next challenger for the belt, whether or not Amanda Nunes relinquishes her titles and retires by that time, or what happens. We will find out in going down on Melbourne. I'm actually excited for this card. A good good matchup against a very big, tall striker with Holly Holmes taking on Raquel Pennington. More of a rough and tumble in your face style, a bit more of that kind of that street fighting style coming from Raquel Pennington. I don't know. I'd still have to give obviously the nod to Holly Holmes in the rematch. What do you think, Kelly? Who do you think is gonna take that?
I'd put all my money on Holly Holmes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy bet. Yeah. Easy. I hear you on that. I totally agree with that on that one. Tough to bet. I'd like to see the odds, but I just don't think Pennington has enough in her toolbox really to challenge Holly Holmes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think she's very, very tough, and I think she's a step up from a gatekeeper, but really that top 5, I don't really see it. I only see her in the top 5 right now, just because the division that they're in is kind of really lacking talent right now, and we're not seeing those really good fights for the women's division that we did before. The matchmaker has just really done a terrible job of the women's division, especially when we saw it earlier in the year. These real terrible mismatches of these women are coming from these minor league organizations. They're 9-0 because they've just fought nothing but cans, and then we're going to put you up against a top 5 fighter, and they get absolutely decimated. Not only, number one, it ruins their momentum, ruins their whole attitude, and it kind of ruins their confidence a little bit too. Really, you know what I mean? That they're coming down to earth rather than doing what the UFC be doing, getting these blue chip MMA women fighters from these organizations, giving them 3 fights, and then making them fight a top 10 opponent. You know what I mean? They're throwing them right into the frying pan, and it's been a terrible showing. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a division that it has a great top end, but I don't see much of a future coming up. And we see the Macy Barbers, we see the Aspen Lads, and Felicia Spencer too, which is very tough. But you know what I mean? Once again, they aren't really getting the momentum that they really deserve. Another guy, all these guys from the Anu podcast, fucking Natural Born Killers list, Zabit Megomed Shapirov will be taking on Calvin Kattar. I really actually like that fight a lot. I think that's going to be a real good stand-up and bang. 2 very lanky dudes that are both very well-rounded, like to stand and bang, but it can also take it to the ground as well. Mark your calendars for this fight, folks. Going down, UFC Boston, October 18th. It'll be the co-main event as well. So we'll see Boston. We'll get a pretty decent card. And this one here, another one where it's very good for, I don't think these guys will get title shot contendership, but they will definitely be getting top rankings with the win over either or dude. I can definitely see Zabit, obviously I think he already is top 10, but getting that extra little step ahead, Kelly, I think he's definitely going to be, titles are going to be in his sights come the close future, the near future. We will see it. I was excited. That Boston show is actually rounding out to be a pretty damn good card. Really excited for that one. Here we go. Kayla Harrison, the gold medalist in judo, tearing up the PFL ranks, has called out Cyborg, saying, "Sign with PFL. I want to fight you." And I don't think PFL number 1 has the money or the talent to really give her a run for her money. You know what I mean? She wants to be active and she wants the money fights. She's going to say, well, I don't want no $1 million tournament. I want $1 million right now. I'm going to sign with Bellator, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kelly, what do you think? I don't think it's a smart move. I don't think she does it.
No, it's not good for a legacy or anything. She should definitely just go to Bellator for more money and better fights, even though Bellator doesn't have really like a good women's division. But at least they can build one, like a better one. Yeah.
It will be, exactly. And what they have built is obviously much better than what PFL has built, even though, WSOF, was kind of a debacle, and then to switch over to PFL, I don't mind the tournament style. I think it's okay, the point system, and then you go into the playoffs. I think it's different. The events aren't terrible, but obviously the women's division talent is really lacking. Just compared to if I had to mark them up, with ONE FC, even Ryzen, PF, I'd have to do it in that order. ONE FC, Ryzen, PFL, Bellator, and then UFC, obviously. I guess Invicta would have to be in the middle there too, but Invicta is more of definitely a minor league where I can guarantee the women in Invicta would probably rather fight for one of those organizations than being in Invicta, because I think it is such a minor league organization that that they would rather go and fight on they'd probably get much more money for fighting for one of those three big people rather than being in Invicta, of course.
Well, when Angela Overkill Hill was kicked out of UFC, she went to Invicta, became the champ, and then came back to the UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
And lost a couple fights.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a perfect example. Basically, as soon as you win to the championship in Invicta, you get, you go to the UFC right away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that just shows it right there. You'd rather, rather than being the champ of an organization, it'd be more lucrative to go fight an undercard in some, in
biggest organization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For a Tennessee card, in the middle of nowhere, than it would be to the main eventing and defending your title.
It's more likely people will see you.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. You're just really the only people who are going to see an Invicta card that will have to have Fight Pass, or some shit like that, right?
Plus, they really follow Invicta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's an Invicta card tonight. How many people do you know like that?
Nobody. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They put on decent shows, but
sure.
But once again, it is just basically the main event is really is the only reason why other people would want to tune in. Obviously, you know what I mean. But I don't see it at all. I don't see her signing with them at all. It's tough call. You know what I mean? For a woman who's gonna have so many people knocking on her door, I just don't see PFLs. I think ONE FC's got the deepest pockets. I could see ONE FC signing her. That's kind of the rumor, is the front runner right now. I think it would be silly for her not to go to Bellator, just because of what you said, Kelly, of having your name out there and fighting in Bellator. You know what I mean? You're still going to get you can maybe rebuild your brand, which the UFC destroyed. In ONE FC, I don't think people really give a shit. She may get the paycheck, though. And, it all depends on what she wants. What does she want? Does she want to rebuild her brand, to retire and make a legacy of it? Or does she want the big paycheck and then to walk away that way? So we'll find out. Sticking with the women's division, Macy Barber will be taking on Canadian talent Jillian Robertson, also at UFC Boston, October 18th. I'm really actually excited for that one. Macy Barber, very, very tough young up-and-comer to take on a very streaky woman right now, and Jillian Robertson. And this is going to be, I think, Macy Barber's toughest test to date, but it's almost a very tough test for Jillian Robertson too. So that's why I really like this matchup. Actually, the matchmaker actually made a decent one with this one also. But the only downside is one girl is going to get her career kind of taken down a notch and derailed a little bit for the loss, just because of the implications of these ones. Two women at the same height of their career right now. Both coming off big-time winning streaks, and a Canadian and Jillian Robertson, but the very, very tough Macy Barber. Who do you think takes that one, Kelly? Very, very tough matchup for both of them.
Tough call, man.
I know, eh?
Yeah. Decision.
Wow. To go into decision. I could see that too. Yeah, I could see that too. Macy Barber's kind of had a little bit easy coming up to now. Jillian Robertson had a bit of the harder road getting to this point, but it's definitely two people who are going to be in that title contendership spot with the amount of wins they've had. With a win over either or, and then one more, they would definitely have to be the next ones in line. Absolutely would have to be next ones in line. And I'm going to go, you know what I mean? I like Macy Barber, and she's very, very tough, but I got to go Jillian Robertson. I think she's a bit more game, a bit more well-rounded, and I'm super, super excited for that card. Another one going down in Boston, getting it done. Weird news coming down, and I don't even know how this guy can do it. Frankie the Answer Edgar moving down to 135. Whew. 135. Like, wow, what a weight cut. He's a bit of he is shorter, you know what I mean? And he is stocky. But, man, I don't know. I thought at 145 at the weigh-ins, he looked a little bit skinnier, a little bit emaciated. But, man, to drop down to 135, Kelly, do you think that's even physically possible for him?
Man, it's going to be harder at this age than it would be a long time ago.
Yeah, that's true, too. Good point, man. That's a great point. You know what I mean? The older you are, the harder it is.
Obviously, he thinks he can make it. I don't know, man. He's going to look pretty sickly.
Let's see. I know. you know what I mean, just of how much it's going to take on his body at that age too.
Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna have that Frankie Edgar energy at that weight that we're used to as well.
Yeah, everything, the ability to take a punch, ability to be able to put it on other dudes, and the ability to go the distance. Just a very, very. I hope you like steamed vegetables, man, because that's all you're going to be eating for the next the next training camp. On that one, I couldn't. Steamed vegetables and water is going to be your new diet, Frankie, because I don't know how he's going to get down to that low. I thought he looked great at 155. You know, I think the division 155 obviously may pass him a little bit.
Yeah.
But even at 145, you know what I mean, he's not that big of a dude. And maybe he does fit, but you know what I mean, maybe this whole time he kind of had just been eating what he wanted to eat and doing what he wanted to do and not really going on a big time diet. So maybe he will go on a big time diet and get it done that way. He won't have to do as much to his body, but still, 135. But you know what I mean, at his height, I think he could be effective if he could get the job done, if he can be healthy at that weight. Tough call. But speaking of people who unhealthy weight cuts, Aspen Ladd has been banned from fighting by the CSAC, the California State Athletic Commission, at bantamweight, just because of how emaciated she was at her last fight when she got knocked out by Randim there. And I think that's just a perfect example of not having the proper weight cut and, you know, just getting knocked out. But I hadn't seen, I don't really watch the weigh-ins anymore. The weigh-ins used to be cool, Kelly. You know what I mean? It used to be cool when it was the actual weigh-in and Joe Rogan yelling.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. It was an event.
Yeah, it was an event. And I totally agree. I like the fact that there are weighing the fighters in the morning, you know, because you do weigh less in the morning. I like that fact. But then make it a big ordeal in the morning then. Like make the production value in the morning. Don't do the fake fucking one afterwards. It sucks. The fake one afterwards is terrible. I don't like it. Just do it in the morning. How many people really are coming out for the event of the weigh-ins?
Yeah. Even if it's like I think they give people like their own time, like the weigh-ins are like between a certain like hours or whatever. Even if they just took like like a short video of each fighter and then put it all together at the end and just showed that, at least it's like real. It's like what's happening.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. And they're not making money off the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we went to Affliction, the weigh-ins are free. Anybody can go into the weigh-ins. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't need anything. So, you know what I mean? So they're not making money off the fucking weigh-ins.
But it's supposed to get you like hyped for the fight too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but exactly. But just have it on TV. If somebody really wants to go, then they got to go in the morning too.
Yeah.
If you're that into the weigh-ins, just go in the morning. But I hadn't seen the video of her actually weighing in. Have you seen it, Kelly?
I have not.
Of that event?
No.
It was sickly, man. Like she couldn't even stand.
Really? She
couldn't even stand, and they're trying to. So they got they have like this new curtain now for the women, right? And then the guys too when they get naked so then they put her on, and she was like fighting. Like you could see it in her face. She was like struggling to stand, like she was fighting with all of her strength not to shake on the scale because she had cut so much weight. I think she had to cut like something like she had to cut like 35 pounds, or no, it was 24 pounds the day before, and then she had gained 17 pounds back. And I guess there's a I think anything, if you have to gain more than 10% of your body weight back after the fight, there's something wrong. Yeah. So that's what they have a whole number for it. I can't remember the exact, I didn't write down the exact numbers, but there is a whole number system for it that if you have to gain this much weight back after the weight cut, that it is actually against the rules of the collective bargaining agreement when it comes to fighters and weighing in.
Remember when DC cheated during the weigh-ins and pushed down the towel?
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man.
Well, I could see why they could do it now because it's almost like an apron that's like a big shower curtain that they put around you, right? Yeah. So that thing, it's got a big steel bar on it. You can totally push down on it. You know what I mean?
It's so funny because DC's like, oh, you're overweight by like 4 pounds, leaves for like 2 seconds, comes back, you're at weight.
I just had to take a big dump. That's too much chicken wings last night.
That's hilarious, man.
But she's going to have to... So what she has to do is she has to go on like a doctor-approved weight-cutting system. And if she checks all the boxes, then they will let her fight at 135. But until then, she won't be able to fight anywhere basically because, if you're, with the exception of John Jones, if you fail your test, if you have a certain restriction or fail your test in one athletic commission, usually the rest of America will follow that and say, hey, this is not going to work for us either. But with the exception of John Jones, that's kind of what I wanted to touch base on about this whole thing. You have a woman where she's, she was super unhealthy. What she had done, the weight cut was very, very, very seriously done, and she was super unhealthy with that weight cut, and it was a terrible decision what she'd done. But she was a fighter, and she didn't want to give up the last second. What she has failed, she has missed weight 2 times before and had to not fight because she was so sick from the weight cut before. So it's 3 times she has missed weight because of it. And now, but then now you see the California Athletic Commission here say, you know what, you can't fight again until you get on a proper diet, and you'll prove to us that you will be healthy enough come the scale time. But here we see a state that also allowed John Jones to fight after failing his piss test in another state, and then they get to, so it's kind of a weird thing. So it's another saying, you're unhealthy, you failed, you did make weight, but it was very scary and it was a bad ordeal. But John Jones can fail his piss test and then go to that state, and then they're like, yeah, we'll let you fight.
Yeah, we'll let you put your hands on another man after pissing hot with steroids. That doesn't seem like any dangers involved.
So it kind of pisses me off a little bit that they're trying to take something serious, but then other stuff not at the end, and it just goes to prove the favoritism of John Jones. Well documented how stupid it is and how much I don't like it. Anywho, I have a whole show of my hatred for John Jones and the fucking special treatment this douchebag gets. Anyhow, I just thought it was kind of weird, though. I thought that was kind of weird. News came down this week. Speaking of UFC debacles, UFC Newark, the one that went down last weekend, had the lowest ratings for an ESPN card. And I'm not fucking surprised. Why? Because you had the card at noon, Western Pacific time. How fucking stupid is that? You keep screwing over the Western fans who are the die-hard fans. East Coast has a population, but so does California. California is the fight capital of the world, bar none when it comes to MMA. Any way you slice it, the people of California tune in. When you had, especially in the fucking summertime, you have a card at 12 noon. Another thing about California, they're very outdoorsy type, as we are here in BC. And most people are going to be out and about doing their thing. No one wants to mess up their whole weekend, their whole Saturday, to watch a fight at 12 to 3 o'clock, whenever it finishes. And then there you go. You've lost all your activity time. People want to watch fights at the end of the fucking day. Newsflash. That's when they want to watch fights. That's when they want to go to the bar. That's when they want to go to their buddies' house parties when the fight is on. Not during the day. Never, ever do they want to do that. Hey, for sometimes in these other, in Europe, Australia, Asia, it's going to be totally different time zone. I understand that ones. Those make sense. Those totally make sense to have it at a different time. Not when it's just in New Jersey, just because you guys are trying to please the fucking East Coast fans who don't really give a shit about MMA as much as we do here on the West Coast. And I just want to get that out, Dana. I hope you're fucking listening. I know you're listening. Straighten your shit out next time. We better not see it for the Boston card. That's all I gotta say. If they're gonna try to pull this shit again for the Boston card, give your fucking head a shake. It'll heat it up here at the end of this one here.
Plus, bare knuckle boxing was free on YouTube, so.
Really?
Yeah,
fuck, how did I man,
I
damn
watched
it.
it all on YouTube. The whole
Damn
thing
it.
streamed live. HD.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a great move.
Yeah, man.
That's a super good move. Let's talk some video games. Didn't play. Yeah, I played a ton of Orna this week. Yeah, what am I talking about? I finally got to 150. It's super cool now being at level 150. All the new enemies now I get to see, which I've been really waiting for a long time. The coolest part about being level 150 is the Arisen guys you fight. It's really cool, Kelly, because you always fight bosses all the time. I think that's been one of my most favorite parts of the game is fighting bosses. You get the really cool gear from the bosses. But now these are risen bosses, so they come back. They're super tough. They're really, really tough. They don't look like a boss. Like they aren't the size of a boss. Like on the screen, bosses are like 4 times the size of a normal guy. Mm-hmm. They're the same size as all the normal guys, so they're smaller. But they have like a purple, like a bright purple flame behind them, and they're really tough. But out of them, I was hoping you'd get more experience and money and orns out of them, but you don't. You get kind of the same you would against fighting a normal dude, but what they do have is arisen weapons, and that is really, you can get the ornate arisen weapons, and that's really where you get the really, really good gear from these guys. I fought a ton of them. They're super hard to fight. They really, really fuck you up. They got a bunch of little special moves now, way harder than any of the bosses that they were before. And I really like how they've kind of added this in for another thing, so now they have Berserk guys and Arisen guys. Really, really nice step. Really nice touch. I really, really like it. Our team, our kingdom had finally beaten the Star-Lord raid boss, who was super hard. It took us about over a week, probably closer to 2 weeks to beat this guy. He wasn't he wasn't super hard. He just had one attack that would do 2,500 damage to you. He would take a beating, and he had like 2 million hit points too, so that helped out as well. So I got my licks in, but then you really couldn't tell when he was going to do this Quasar attack. He could do this Quasar attack at any time. I would, after the first exchange, he'd hit me with it, or 20 exchanges down the road, he would hit me with it. So we finally beat him. I got a ton of experience from that. That was really cool too. And just doing kingdom battles, it was kind of a tough balancing act, Kelly, with my kingdom, just kind of cutting guys. And because when you have 50 guys in your kingdom and you go to battle, it costs you like a ton of gold. And your gold, you accumulate gold from other people fighting, and they all contribute gold from beating enemies and that type of thing. It all goes, you don't lose any gold. It just you get a little extra gold that goes towards the kingdom, and then it costs about 100,000 gold to fight another kingdom when you have 50 dudes. So I had a lot of dudes that weren't really competing, and they were lower levels, and I think they just they got the game, grinded hard for a few days, and then this game's not for me type shit. So fortunately they were the dead weight on my team, so I've cut a bunch of dudes, locked the kingdom down so more people can't join. So I'm about 34 people right now, and I'm finding everyone in the kingdom is active. They're all fighting. They're all doing really, really good. So I've kind of fine-tuned that a little aspect of it too. So just so many different aspects about it that are really, really cool. My one buddy who's really got into it, he's really been active on Reddit, because there's a lot of people out there who've got 4,000 areas. I got a bunch of new cool areas today too, yesterday when I was out and about in the fishing trip. So it was it's just one of the things that the Reddit community on it is very, very active. It's really cool. I think the game's really going to take off one day and really turn into something. There's also now talk of raising the cap too, which I'm nowhere near the level cap, so I'm excited to see that. Play a little bit of Zelda this weekend too. I got some nice Zelda in too. It's really such a calming game. I really fucking adore it. Absolutely adore it. Just quickly on Zelda, I had a cool little move to another area. Just really traveling around, just doing my thing, fighting different bosses, fighting different enemies and cool stuff like that. Really not going for really any quests, really just kind of traveling around and having fun. I found a cool and just unlocking the areas, the towers in the areas to open up the maps, and I found another cool tower where it was all around. It was all like this goopy, it's like some kind of goopy poison shit that Ganon had put there, and you can't touch it at all. It just starts killing you instantly. But as I see, there's these 3 little pillars around it. So I jumped on the first pillar and then glided over to the next one, and then glided over to the next one, and then climbed up to the top and made my way up there. And it's I'm on a tall mountain on top of a tower. And so it's super cold up top there, but it was really cool to get up top there. And I had to fight a bunch of the moblins, the huge moblins on my way to get up there, 3 at a time. And they're tough dudes, but they aren't unbeatable. That's the thing. You just got to really be savvy and just really get on them when you get into there, and it's just really, really fun. But I didn't get too much done on Zelda, but it doesn't take long, to really dick around, and an hour to go by in the game. That's what's kind of fun about it. And, cooking alone, you could spend like a whole hour just fucking cooking and doing different recipes and that type of thing. It's actually quite fun. How about any Apex update this week, Kelly?
Not really. I mean, they haven't really added anything to the game or anything like that. I'm just discovering new ways to troll with shitty teammates. Like, if I open up a crate and somebody takes something from it before I'm away from it, I just basically follow them around the whole game, shooting in the air, like trying to take everything that they run up to. Like, the best is when you're somebody like Pathfinder or Octane, so you can run to the place that they're trying to get to quicker and take all the shit first.
Right.
Even if you don't need it, right? And then, if one of my teammates just starts running like away, like not marking where they're going, like an idiot, I'll just start shooting randomly. So he thinks there's like enemy team around me, and then as soon as he gets to me, I'll start running to where he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, just fucking trolling with shitty teammates. But they are adding the single player. I'm not sure when. Hopefully soon.
Nice.
Because I'm really sick of playing with these people.
Yeah, no, like you said, that's just the one real knock on the game is it can be a real waste of time. You get bad team after bad team after bad team. Now you're an hour in and you really haven't played a game because you've had fucking terrible teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about being a diehard in the game. It's just about fucking playing it and just, not wanting to think you're going to be fucking guns a-blazing cowboy hero here that's going to fucking win the game for your whole team by yourself, because because you guarantee there's going to be a few dudes out there who are all friends, all mic'd up, 3 dudes who are hardcore at the game, and they're going to fucking walk through you because
every third game I have one guy that's just like, I'm going to run around and kill everybody, and he dies right away. And then we go to save him, with our pistols because we have shit all, and then we die, and he's like, you guys suck. It's like, you died first, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just think some people. The worst.
Yeah.
The worst. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, though, right?
Just shoot in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Get as much attention as possible. And then leave.
Yeah.
Then when your teammates die, you come back and take all the loot.
That's hilarious. Well played. Well played. No, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. Play like a team or don't play at all. It's Apex. Or wait till it's single player.
Yeah, exactly. You're stuck with 3 dudes. Stick together and fucking work as a team.
Yeah.
Work as a team. Have you had your strategy of going off the, when people don't break off?
Oh, yeah, that works almost every time.
Nice. Has it backfired and you didn't actually killed yourself, though?
No, but I have killed a teammate.
That's awesome.
I didn't even grab his tag. I was like, whatever.
Oh, that is hilarious. Well, serves him right.
Because your death box will appear at the edge of the cliff that you fell off. So it's not like...
Oh, really? Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad then. That's cool.
I mean, sometimes if there's a platform way down there, it'll appear down there, and it's just like, you're fucked. But most of the time, it'll appear at the edge, so you can grab it if you want.
What, have you been noticing that those pterodactyls been helping out with recycling and all the shit?
I haven't really noticed too much.
Oh,
them yet.
Yeah.
I kind of ignore them because I don't want to... Usually when I'm trying to play a good game, I don't shoot them down.
Yeah, that would really that would really call attention to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. All right, let's move right along here, folks. Back by popular demand, reviewing the reviews. Kelly came up with a good one this week. The P&E and Playland. For you who don't know what I'm just sputtering here from out-of-towners, it is the local fair that goes down in the summertime in Vancouver. Very popular fair. It's been going around for a very long time. They have an ancient roller coaster. I think it's like from like 1920 or some shit that's still kicking. And that's the funnest part about that roller coaster, how scary it is. Just because of how old it is. It's all done by gravity. It's the oldest roller coaster in North America. It's actually quite scary, though. If you've been on it, man, you ain't ready for that thing. That thing really hauls ass, and it's throwing you around. It feels that you feel like you're going to die. That's the funnest part about it, right? But it's 100% safe. I don't think anyone's ever been hurt on it the entire time it's been around. And like I said, it'll get you pumping. I went a few months ago with my son, and he was not prepared for it. Nor was I. I hadn't been on it in quite a long time myself. I was not prepared for how fast it went, and it's just all gravity. It's pretty cool. But that being said, obviously with being a fair in the very expensive town of Vancouver, you're going to get a lot of pissed off people with obviously just the admission and everything else that goes with it. It's like any kind of fair you'd think of, lots of food, different rides, then the money games, which aren't bad, and shit like that. Just like anything you'd see in any American town. Let's see here. Let's get to some bad reviews here. This guy here, okay, let's start off here with his bad review. This guy here is a little bit crazy. AS. Sorry, let's go to the top here because I think it's how many reviews this place got. 4.2 stars. Playland at the Peony. 4.2 stars. 3,086 reviews. That's a lot of reviews. But like I said, it is a very popular place, obviously in the summertime. People love going to it. Here it is. Okay, perfect. AS 95 reviews, 852 photos. Only gave him 2 stars 3 days ago. So this guy just went recently. Entry fee is ridiculously expensive for a tiny amusement park, where half of the rides are either closed or broken. Generally, rides seem to be not well maintained, as my group got stuck several times on various rides. I heard the Halloween event are fun and great. We'll give it a try then, again, but for now, I don't think I'll return for the normal season. That's kind of weird. I don't know about rides getting stuck. I've really never heard of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Occasions.
Yeah, at one time. you can get... That is one thing I will say, is if they should have like a list of the rides that are broken when you first get in there. Because I know when we went there was a few rides that were down that we would have liked to have gone on. But, at least if they're letting you know ahead of time, you don't feel so shafted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think there's got to be a number. If there's like 5 rides that are down, they got to give you some kind of discount to get in. But I see where they're coming from. They're just there to make money. They don't give a fuck about you. They just want you to come in, empty your pockets, and walk the fuck out. That's it. This person here, this is their only review too. FF, 1 review, also 3 days ago. And they're saying kind of the same thing. Entrance fee is insane for 6 of the most popular rides not running. If you go to Six Flags, one of the best amusement parks in the world, it's almost $25. Unlike Playland, a small amusement park at $36 Canadian. I also found a live bee in my cotton candy. The Halloween events here are great, and so is the fair, but don't go during regular hours. So maybe these two people are related, or they got some kind of hate on for them. But it's just like, so now you got your buddy like, hey, buddy, let's really scam him here. Let's fucking create some accounts, and let's ruin this P&E. I know it's been going on for 100 years, but our reviews are going to change the tide.
Not like that, but man, Six Flags, you want us to buy tickets, like plane tickets too? It's gonna cost a lot more than your 25 euros.
And I don't think this guy understands 25 euros is a lot more than $36 Canadian.
Yeah.
A lot more. Like, you're an idiot, buddy. And I'm glad you can do conversion real fucking well, because I'm pretty sure 25 euros is gonna be closer to like $40. You know what I mean? And I understand Six Flags is obviously Six Flags. It's a world-renowned place.
Oh, it's
you know what I mean?
37 point...
Yeah, it was pretty close. It's $40, yeah. 37, so it's, you know what I mean? Just, so it's, you know what I mean? It is what
it's the same price.
Same price, exactly.
$1 more.
And it's not really that small of a place. Like, I spent a whole fucking day there.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It is pretty big. Like, I don't know what this guy was expecting. And I can guarantee you, is probably not $37 to get into Six Flags. I bet you it's probably closer to 50. You know what I mean? Because that place is massive. And with that, with that $36, you get access to all the rides.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad.
And you could be there all day. I was saying, you go there in the opening, you only have to leave when they say get out. There's no limit to how many rides you can go on. So I think it's a little bit wow, and they got 4 people like that review too. That's crazy. So
Group.
yeah, it must have been. They're playing games here, but I just kind of find that a little bit disgusting. Just because, like I said, you're gonna try to hate on a place for the price, or what I mean. It is what it is, man. Oh, this one's actually kind of funny. TK 96 reviews, 26 photos, 1 star, 21 hours ago. This guy just did it yesterday. Feels like if it's in a time capsule going back to the 80s. Cool if you want to check out the 80s. Kind of boring if you want to go to an amusement park in the present.
I don't even know what that means. I think that's cool as fuck. It's like a time. Shit, let's go. I don't know what that means.
Well, I think they actually have been doing kind of like a retro feel to it, too. They've been doing like a retro like advertising campaign to it recently as well. So I think that's, maybe that's exactly what they were trying to go for on this here, buddy.
They have newer rides.
Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly. That's why I don't understand where he's getting that from. So it's kind of weird. This one's kind of funny. I'll give this one a 5-star one here. This is a 5-star. TH, 17 reviews, 5 stars, 3 weeks ago. Lines were acceptable. Ride length was a bit short, but good to keep the lines moving. Despite the graffiti on the coaster said, "We did not die." LOL. You are weird, sir.
My life is better.
That's what I was talking about, though. Like, the coaster is pretty scary. It is pretty scary to go on it because it's wood, it's creaking and cranking, but it's totally safe. They wouldn't let you go on unless it was safe. But like, what a weird thing to comment about. Like, for the ride, how the lines were acceptable, but the rides are short, so that all makes sense in the end. I can totally understand why the rides are shorter, so the lines move faster. 5 stars. You are weird, sir. You are very weird. Oh boy, this guy seems like he is very upset. Let's see how long. Okay, this one's not too long. Oh, cool. Okay, we'll do 2. What's this one? Oh wow. Maybe I'll do a 3rd one here. What time we said? Okay, I'll do this one, and then I'll do another one here. Let's do this one. Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. That guy's just seems like he's a bit psychotic. P.S. Only 2 reviews from this person here. 2 stars 3 weeks ago. We had terrible experience last week as we took our children to have some fun. Although we were charged full admission fees, many of the good rides were shut down. The staff were not friendly. Many of the food stations were closed, and we left. It was such a disappointment, we will likely not come back. But here, see, that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, they should have had, but the kids' rides are always open. You got kids there, there's a perfect area for all the little kids. I can understand they'd be a little upset if there were a bunch of rides that were shut down, but you just got to keep humping them. You paid the money, get your money's worth. And here's a response from the owner. Hi, we are really sorry to hear that you had a poor experience at Playland over the weekend. Exclamation point? I don't think that's exclamation point worthy. I don't think you should have put an exclamation point there. Because he would say, like, you're excited.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're excited that you had a terrible time. Rides go through unscheduled maintenance to ensure rider safety, and we try our best to communicate this through our webpage and at the gate entrance. We apologize for any inconvenience caused, and we thank you for your feedback. So, okay, so if you go on the website, they can tell you. But I guess, hey, shit breaks down. They don't want you to go on a broken-ass ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want you to go on a broken-ass ride and die. Come on.
It's a little bit unsafe.
Yeah, exactly. Come some slack. All right, one more here to round out the show. This one's kind of weird. I don't know what this person's getting at here. HS 15 reviews, 1 star 4 days ago. Your roller coaster safety is at minimum stakeholder satisfaction threshold. Like, I don't, I don't get that. Is that like just because it goes up and down? I guess I don't understand. That's the fun about it. It is safe. They wouldn't let you go on the fucking thing if it wasn't safe, but it does feel scary, like you are going to die on it. That's the they should that the, people love the roller coaster. Say it's safe all you want. It's more of a dare than a fun ride. There is no shades in the park, so have fun in summer. That's bullshit. There was tons of covered areas when I went. Tons of covered areas everywhere with benches and like picnic benches all covered in shade. Everywhere. The elevator used to launch you up, then drop you. Now it raises to the top slowly and boring. The musical express and the atmosphere running time also decrease greatly. Wow, that person's they're really timing all their stuff. So that, you know what I mean, how are you going to know the exact running time on something like, oh, last year I remember exactly, it was 3 minutes 57 seconds. Now it's 3 minutes 52 seconds. 1 star. And this person's a total jerk off because, like I said, I went there. There was tons of these massive covered picnic areas, all under the shade. Super nice. They were all over the place. There were multiple tables everywhere. And then to, like, you know what I mean, to say that it's not safe, they aren't going to let you on something that's not fucking safe, man.
Yeah. Who's dying? Like,
Yeah.
Where do you get your information from?
I know, exactly.
Are people, like, being brought out of the park in stretchers and shit? Like, what are you talking about?
And I'm not for the elevator. The elevator's, I'm going to say, I'm not a ride guy to begin with. The rides aren't my thing. I don't spin well. I don't spin very well at all. But to say, you know, the elevator goes up slow, it does go up slow in the beginning. And then it comes down, and then it shoots you up and down. I've seen it many times. You can see it from everywhere. Yeah. That's what it does. You go up slow, then it shoots you down, then it goes back up fast, and then it goes back down again. It's doing a whole fucking bit for you. But people are going to complain if it's just the same thing over and over and over again, year after year after year. They obviously changed up the momentum on it a little bit. Come on, buddy. 1-star review. Number 1, for lying. You're a liar. And number 2, for being a bitch when it comes to being mad at the ride speed. Come on, man. It's called fucking progress here, buddy. Now I'm fired up again, Kelly. Let's run a little long here. Let's take a quick little breather, and we will be right back after these brief messages. When out on the lake this summer, be sure to drink plenty of water. Even though you're surrounded by the water, I would not recommend drinking the lake water unless it is filtered by the purest of filters. Hence, the Waterium aspect. Waterium filters. Coming to store shelves this winter. It will turn your water into Waterium.
So it's like turns the water into like a loaf of water?
Yep.
Nice.
That makes your water chunky.
How much is the filter?
About $1 million.
Holy shit. That's too much.
500,000 then.
Oh man, thank you for that 50% discount. Oh wait, no, 500. Yeah, that's
right.
50. Yeah, that's right. That's right. My math isn't too bad. Shit.
Very affordable.
So I just sell my house. Sell my house, buy a Waterium filter. Does it work forever?
No, it only is about 2 liters. I think the marketers need to go back and think about that one.
Good times.
Very expensive water. Welcome back, folks. Hope you enjoyed our brief messages. And go grab yourself a cold, tall glass of water on the house. Tap water, that is. And Waterium filters on store shelves coming up soon. I can't wait to get mine. Let's break it down here. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 7 going down in Biloxi, Mississippi. Good card. I caught the highlights. It was a really good card. Kelly watched the whole thing, as noted previously on the show, free on YouTube. What a smart move. Super smart move. I couldn't imagine their pay-per-view buys were really that great. You know what I mean? Because I think I think they were actually like $37 or $39 for an event. You know what I mean? That's kind of steep for somebody to pay for a bare knuckle fighting event. You know what I mean? I think that's a bit steep for. I wouldn't really buy it at that. You know what I mean? So I think it's a smart move. Maybe took a little bit of a hit, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to even out being on YouTube.
They actually put a lot of the old fights on YouTube as well. Just
Oh,
putting
really?
Advertisements on it. So I guess
cool.
That's how they're making some of their money.
Nice. I was surprised not to see Jason Knight on this card. He is from Mississippi, but maybe he's still beat up from his Artem Lobov fight when he got his face turned into a hamburger on that one. But we see Quentin Henry defeating Bubba Marble via KO in the first round. Caleb Harris defeating and retiring Jonathan Vistante by KO, face planting KO in the second round, 1 minute in. That guy really did a dive. They were saying he was planking. He dove so hard head first, and the dude retires afterwards. Like that was a bad knockout, for him to be able to take it. And that was one hell of a punch. Goes down hard on that one. I like kind of how they're sticking with those almost like those gloves they've kind of made a little bit now too. The guys are really taping up their hands now. Mm-hmm. Which is it's just smart. I couldn't imagine how much damage this sport does on your face. I couldn't imagine how much damage it does on your hands.
Well, that's why Melvin had to quit.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
He broke his hand. But you know what? He went in there with the worst dad bod I've ever seen. I totally expected him to lose.
Especially against Isaac Valflag, who's really kind of been one of their main guys. I don't think he's lost in bare knuckle fighting right now. And Melvin Gillard has got definite problems with his ability to take a punch these days. Mm-hmm. But it looks like what he made to the third round.
Yeah.
Crazy. And so he just protested. Is that what happened? Like he kind of just said, I'm done. My hands fucked. Yeah. Fuck. That's crazy.
But he looked like it was like gas before that.
Right. So maybe it was a little bit of both. I'm gassed and my hand is fucked. How did he look before that, though? Was he looking okay?
No. No. He should. I don't know, man. He needs to go back to the gym. I don't know if he just took it for the money and said fuck it or what.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah.
He just kind of got his ass beat. But they gave him a tough test. That's why I kind of thought that was an odd matchup. And Melvin Gillard hasn't been really won anything recently, and here they're going to put him up against a very tough dude who's found his mark in bare knuckle fighting in Isaac Valflag.
Yeah, 3-0 now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I skipped a couple, I think.
No. It's all good. Who we got here? Yeah. Helen Peralta defeats Christine Fury by unanimous decision. Looks like that one was a pretty tough one, and she wins the women's featherweight title with that. And then we see Chase Sherman defeats Arnold Adams. That was a highly touted matchup that was supposed to be a big one because they're all saying Chase Sherman could get. There was rumor if Sherman won this fight, he would get his shot back at the UFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which would be pretty big for him.
No, he lit him up.
Yeah, really, eh?
Good fight.
Yeah. It looks like
the guy was trying to just be elusive the whole time, kind of like a Floyd Mayweather type of deal, but he was just getting tagged, man.
Chase Sherman's a pretty funny guy, too. He's notable for all of his weigh-ins. Before the weigh-ins, he does a lot of funny shit. And in the main event, Jim Ehlers defeats Leonard Garcia by TKO in the first round. Did he kind of drop him? I didn't see the highlights for that one, Kelly. How did that one go?
Leonard Garcia was training with Melvin Gillard at McDonald's for like 2 months. And he looked like shit too. And yeah, he just went down, man. He did not look like a fighter. I don't know what's going on with his card.
Well, I think the stupid thing too is Leonard Garcia was already looking past this Jim Ehlers guy and talking about how he was going to fight Lobov.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? So he was already, that's the number one problem these fighters do. You can't look past it, dude. Yeah. Doesn't matter who he is. This Jim Ehlers guy, I think he's undefeated in this bare knuckle fighting as well. And then you're going to look past him and say, yeah, I'm going to be fighting Lobov for the fucking belt after this one. You got to beat the first dude in front of you first here, man. And then, to go out that way too, like, fuck, you're doing all the smack talking here. You got beaten a minute and a half. Stupid. Very stupid.
I want to find a picture of him, but I don't know if I can. No, man, he had like this bum beard and like he wasn't shaving or anything, man. He just did not care.
That's crazy.
It was pretty funny.
Weird. It must be just, I don't know how much money they're dumping on these dudes. Very weird.
Yeah.
When do we see Rumble Johnson in this? Do you think they give him enough money to do it?
I don't think they give him enough money to do it. No. I think he's just more of like a face.
Yeah. Well, I think he's like fighter relations. He's making a ton of money off weed right now too. I think he invested his money very smartly. I think he's just happy not to have to cut weight and be able to fight and, just train and have fun with his life.
Yeah. No, it's funny. His beard is kind of weird because it kind of looks like it was like originally like supposed to be shaped and everything.
Yeah.
It kind of like just grew it long, so it's like, I don't know, man. It's supposed to be like I can't even explain it. It just looked bad.
It's hilarious.
Bad. Yeah.
When trying too hard goes wrong. Let's break it down here. PFL 6. Going down to the Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wasn't a bad card. Unfortunately, they have a weird matchup, but I kind of like it. You know what I mean? We're used to this traditional fight cards where you have an undercard, you have a main card, and then you have a main event. But when you're doing these tournament styles where everyone's fighting for points and there's really not a main event, you kind of got to turn your notion off that there's going to be the main event mean something. And I kind of like what they're doing with it. They kind of are trying to make somewhat of a main event, but it doesn't really work because they're all the guys are on the same level right now. What I did like what PFL was doing was where they were putting up dudes against that both had decisions. So if you win a decision, you only get 3 points towards the playoffs. So now what they do is kind of get rid of the more of the boring fighters too. They put the two dudes who had 2 decision wins up against each other, and it's the winner moves on to the playoffs, the loser goes home because you won't have enough points to make the playoffs. So I kind of like that how they've shaped it that way. And then you've now forced these 2 dudes who had maybe a lackluster fight, maybe they won by a boring decision or maybe they had a hard fought split decision. But now you're making these 2 dudes put their foot on the gas pedal to get that win, or otherwise you're going to be on the outside looking in for that $1 million check. So I kind of like that aspect. They've done some good things with this organization. It's nice to see it on TSN now up here in Vancouver. In Canada we get to watch it on TSN, so I actually like that about it too. What do we see here? That's the only shitty thing. There's a few fights I watched that were not very good though. That's the only hard part about this card is there was a lot of decisions you can see on this one here, Kelly. They just were really, really bad. But Alex Nicholson finding his way in the heavyweight division, knocking out Ezekiel Willie. Alex Nicholson, a really tough dude. He had a little stint in the UFC, didn't really pan out for him earlier in his career, and he's looking like he's a bit overweight at heavyweight. Like, you know what I mean? He's normally fights at 205, Kelly, but heavyweight, it looks like he's a bit more comfortable, but he looks a bit bigger, you know what I mean?
A little soft.
He looks a little bit, but he knocked out his opponent, so you know what I mean. But it was quick, right? You know what I mean. So when you have all that weight on you, it all obviously depends how well you're going to do in the later rounds. Mm-hmm. What was the other good one here? This was a weird one too. They don't have a 135-pound division in PFL, but they had a 135-pound fight, which I thought was weird. So it was Umar Nurmagomedov versus Saidmar Honari, and the size matchup was fucking weird. Honari it kind of looked like a featherweight fighting a welterweight, Kelly, is what it looked like in this one. But Honari didn't look bad. He was very tough for how little he was. Very, very tough dude. But it almost looks like he should be at 125. But this Omar guy was huge for 135. Fucking massive. Another Maxim Grisham was actually a good fight against Mikhail Moknakin. He got KO'd in that one. That was a really crazy punch, man. He got toe curl KO'd in that one. That was a really good one. What was this? Viktor Nevkov. He actually had a good fight. It was a split decision against Rashid Yasupov. That was actually not a bad fight. Vinny Mahalays gets back to the winning ways, punching his ticket to the playoffs with an armbar submission over Rakeem Cleveland. Rakeem Cleveland coming in kind of cocky in this one because he had beaten a bunch of other dudes on the card, and he was coming in real cocky, thinking he was going to beat Vinny Mahalays, but he got armbarred quick in the round too. Just basically took him to the ground and beat him up. Satoshi Ishii, we see, goes down in his PFL debut, kind of doing his transition to fighting in America and wanting to kind of transition over to Bellator more. But he loses a close decision in Jared Rosholt here. But Jared Rosholt's a tough opponent to go up against for anybody really at the heavyweight division. He's not one guy that can be slept on, that's for damn sure. And Satoshi Ishii finds out the hard way, getting the decision loss. And kind of weird, he's actually representing Croatia. Japanese fighter, gold medal winner in judo at heavyweight for Japan. But now he's representing Croatia, which I thought was weird. Maybe he moved over to Krokop's camp and he's just hanging out with Krokop and has his Croatian citizenship. But I thought that was a bit odd. You know what I mean? You don't see many Japanese dudes leaving Japan like this, especially to rep another country. I thought that was very, very weird.
I've seen it with people going to America, but that's about
yeah,
it.
that's about it. Yeah. Canada, even, right? You know what I mean? A lot of, you know what I mean, people doing it in Canada. Even, you know, we're the weirdest one was Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? Being a Canadian citizen.
Yeah. That's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't see a lot of people going to Croatia.
No. I'm sure it's very nice. It's a very cool place to live, but
It's not really a fight capital.
no, not at all. Not at all. That brings us to UFC Fight Night 156. Shevchenko versus Carmouche 2. Uruguay. Super cool. I know someone lived in Montevideo for a while and said it was absolutely one of the best times of their life. It seems like a really cool place. They have legalized weed down there too. Very, very nice place to live. You can kind of see in the crowd too. Like it seemed like a pretty low key crowd. You know what I mean? Everyone's high, shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I thought that maybe I'll take a trip down there if I ever become rich off this show here, which I know will happen. Good. It was. I don't know. It's tough to say. You know what I mean? Just because of how much minor league stuff they had on it, but it wasn't terrible. There at least was a good mixture of decisions and finishes and that type of thing on this card here, Kelly. But it wasn't too. You watched it though too?
I was kind of watching it at the same time as I was watching the bare knuckle boxing.
Oh yeah,
and the bare knuckle boxing was more entertaining, to be honest.
Yeah,
so I kind of watched that more than this.
Yeah, I could believe it. It's really I just watched like the main card.
Yeah.
Just because there was just so many fights on it here, but let's start breaking it down here with Tisha Torres losing to Marina Rodriguez. Tisha Torres tumbling again. I just think she's just too small for the division.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem.
She is a tiny tornado.
Yeah, exactly. And she's older too. So maybe that's just one thing. She should start transitioning into being a coach or something. Cyril Gain, the training partner of Francis Ngannou, gets a arm triangle choke over Rafael Pizoza first round. Gilbert Burns had actually a pretty good fight. He was a barn burner of a fight against Alexei Kuchnikov. That was a good one. This one wasn't actually bad for a split decision. Enrique Barzola versus Bobby Moffitt. It actually wasn't too bad for a split decision. They really didn't. It was kind of more of a sparring match, but they went for it a little bit. You know, what I mean, it wasn't too bad. Rodolfo Vieira, arm triangle choking Oscar Pichota. Watch out for this Rodolfo Vieira guy, man. This guy is a killer on the ground. He is jacked to all shit. I wouldn't be surprised if he fails a piss test in the future, to tell you the truth, just how jacked up this dude was. But you know, it could just be tough as nails. Undefeated. He's a jiu-jitsu world champion as well. Fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, 6-0 now. But man, did he look good on the ground. All finishes too, Kelly. All 6 of his wins are by finish. Fighting at ACB a little too. That's not a bad organization to get some minor league almost experience in. Really haven't fought anybody. You know, this is his first. You know, make your UFC debut too in Uruguay too. You know, which is very close, obviously, to Brazil. And you know what I mean, getting it done. I think he was also, I think he's just the world champion of jiu-jitsu, but still, good for him at 185. Very tough dude. And we'll see more of him down the road here. Maybe he'll make. Oh, he's the black belt hunter too. That's his nickname too. Good nickname. And the dude he choked out, this Oscar Pichota guy, was a black belt as well. So he is living up to his moniker in the black belt hunter. Pretty cool moniker. And maybe he's gonna make the list. Maybe he'll make the and new natural born killers list. I can see it. Volkan Ozdemir taking on Ilir Latifi, KOing him. That was a crazy. Did you catch that one, Kelly?
Yeah, man,
that
he
was
just
actually pretty
put it
good.
on him.
Yeah, did he ever? Yeah, those knees were nasty. Just everything. You just the toolbox he had. Any way you slice it, man. The toolbox he put on was going to be hard for anybody to go up against. Knees, punches, kicks, low kicks. You know what I mean? Latifi tried, and good for him. He was a dude you couldn't really count out because he was really, you know what I mean, swinging when he like a caged animal when Vulcan would walk him down, and he really but he just couldn't keep up with that pace. Just too many punches to the face, and then eventually just got knocked right the fuck out. Good fight, though. Good fight for Vulcan. I guess he had some legal trouble outside the ring, some with management or something. I'm not exactly sure what it was. So he's got all of his shit all settled up, and he's back to focusing on fighting. Luis Garagoli, he was the local talent from Uruguay, beats Humberto Bandone. That was a pretty bad fight, actually, to tell you the truth. And I could have almost saw it going to Humberto, too. Wasn't a very good fight. But the co-main event, I think, kind of stole the show. Vicente Luque taking on Mike Perry. Did you catch that one, Kelly?
I did.
Oof. Mike Perry's nose getting rearranged worse than Rich Franklin's. Man, that knee. Talk about bad timing, too. To catch that knee right in the end, and his face was, man, it was here for gushing. That, not only the blood that was coming out from that, man, I haven't seen that much blood in a long time. And just the blood coming out from his nose. And just how squished and rearranged his nose was afterwards. But he didn't stop. After getting that hit, he was really trying to lay it on the body. Even with his nose just gushing and gushing and gushing, he still didn't quit. And he got up and into guard and started trying to lay down some bombs to make the end of the round look good. But this Vicente Luque's gotta be getting in the top 5 talk soon here. This guy was really, man, he's been on a tear recently. Let's break it down here. Vicente Luque, the silent assassin. How many wins has he got in a row here? Come on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight winning streak right now. He only lost to Leon Edwards. He lost to Michael Graves too. So his first UFC fight was lost. He's got a lot of losses before the UFC. He knew how to get it done. He's actually beat Thiago Santos. That's crazy. So he's got a win over Thiago Santos in the Spartan MMA organization. And by TKO. And so he loses to Michael Graves in his first UFC fight by decision. Then goes on a tear of four wins after that. Beating Hector Urbina and Bilal Muhammad. By KO'ing. KO'd Bilal Muhammad and Hector Urbina. All finishes, too, after that. Then he loses a decision to Leon Edwards. Which, Leon Edwards is a very tough dude, very big 170. And then goes on one hell of a tear, beating up some very tough dudes. Choking out Nico Price. KO'ing Chad Laprice. KO'ing Jalen Turner. TKO'ing Brian Barberino. That was a really good one. Then TKO'ing Derek Krantz. And now getting the split decision win over Mike Perry, which he could have, if it was just Mike Perry was just too tough to go down, he could have very easily gotten a KO or a TKO on that, but Mike Perry was just far too tough. I thought Mike Perry was actually really landing some good shots in that fight too. But obviously the shots he took to the nose that softened his nose up before that huge knee was the undoing, obviously, of him. But man, this guy's 6-0 right now, 170. 170 is going to get fucking log jammed here. And we have another guy in the Silent Assassin that's going to be coming up. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Valentina Bullet Shevchenko versus Liz Gorilla Carmouche. Very bad fight. Did you watch it, Kelly?
I did. Yeah.
It was when you're Liz Carmouche and your whole thing is going to be grappling this girl, and then Valentina is just taking her down at will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then having no answer off her back. It was really boring. I found myself fast forwarding it to the last 3 rounds. The last 2 rounds I fast forwarded through it. Slow fast forward, but I still fast forwarded through them. Shit. It was a very, very, just kind of weird. Like I've talked about many, many times on the show. The matchmaker is a joke on this, and this is a perfect example of it. You know what I mean? Having Liz Carmouche should have been nowhere near fighting Shevchenko. And I think it's a product of the terrible matchups, killing momentum of up and coming fighters, and here we have it. Here we have bullshit with it. So it's very, very kind of lackluster. So I would love to have seen her fight somebody else, Shevchenko for the belt. You know what I mean? But here we have a real stinker, and the other fights weren't bad though. But I want to give this card a C. You know what I mean? I know it was Uruguay. I know it was. You know what I mean? I know it's going to be a minor league card because it is an Ultimate Fight Night, but I'm only going to give it a C just because the main event really should have stolen the show, and it really didn't. I think we, with the Luquette fight or Lukey fight and the Olzemeyer fight, I think really were the main ones of it. If it wasn't for them, it would have been a terrible, terrible card. But here we even see we see Uruguay. It's on the east coast of South America, but still we're seeing it's at a normal time here up here. You know what I mean? So it's I'm sure that this fight will probably have better ratings than the Newark fight. You know what I mean? But I like that the UFC is going to Uruguay. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. Well then, we ran a good show today. Episode number 46 in the books. 50 right around the corner. We have SummerSlam going down as we speak. I'm going to catch that when I get home and talk about it maybe a little bit next show. We got a big party coming up this weekend here, Kelly, which they better be showing the fights. That's all I got to say. We got a huge UFC coming down next weekend with the rematch of Stipe Miocic taking on Daniel Cormier and Daniel Cormier's possible retirement bout. We will find out. I'm super excited for that card too. Great card coming down. I think the Nate Diaz fight's also on that one as well.
Nice.
Well then, folks, for myself and co-host and producer extraordinaire Kelly, you've been listening to the